Hello everyone, today is the death anniversary of the lead singer and guitar player of the famous grunge band Nirvana. So there's a lot of mystery around his death. Some people say that he was murdered, and some people say that he had committed suicide. So today we will try to find out the truth behind his mysterious death. Was Kurt Cobain murdered? I think Courtney did not murder Kurt Cobain. They both were soulmates and they loved each other a lot. I think that he was not murdered. In fact, he was offered a lot of help and support from others to solve his drug addiction and his life problems. But he had a lot of energetic blockages. That's the reason why he couldn't take the help and support from Courtney, from his band members, from anyone around him. I think he did commit suicide because this card is all about self-sabotage, not being able to do anything, not being able to see anything clearly. And the only thing that he could do is to take drugs and idealize suicide. And he did try to commit suicide a few other times as well, but he wasn't successful in those attempts. And drug addiction was something in his life that really got him to the point of no return, and he felt like about the drug addiction there's nothing that he can do. There's a reason why he committed suicide, and it felt like he can't do anything. Drug had ruined his health and brain and creativity in a way that to the point of no return. I think if you could read his suicide note, he wrote it that he doesn't feel like he wants to be on the stage. He doesn't feel like he wants to write another song or do anything else. It's just living or being in this body is just very agonizing for him. His stomach pain and everything. It is extremely difficult for me to talk about this because I am his huge fan, and this man had a gem of a heart. He was an empath, and he had his Jupiter in Cancer in 12th house. I feel so sorry that everything that he had to go through. A lot of people would argue that how he had taken like 3 times more of those drugs and then picked up the gun to pull the trigger, but he had high tolerance of drugs. And if you haven't watched my video about drug addiction, I will suggest that you go watch that, because the thing is that people who take drugs regularly, they develop the high tolerance for drugs. So they can take 2-3 times more drug than normal ordinary people and still be doing things, and he did too. Now that I channel his energy, I can feel that given a chance, he would want to go back in time and change his decision, because the moment that his soul looked at himself, his body, that way, he felt regret. He was crying and he felt regret, like, what have I done? But the thing is that we, in this third dimensional reality, we are bound by this linear progressive timeline and all this collective agreements and all this. Even after his death, he's always present with his daughter Frances and watches over her all the time, and he's very protective of her. And it is just that both of them had chosen to experience their relationship in absence of each other. Why Kurt Cobain had committed suicide? This card talks about being stuck in situation that you can't get out of. And for Kurt Cobain, it was a drug addiction. He was addicted to heroin or cocaine, which I think is the most dangerous drug to get rid of. And a lot of people in Seattle, Washington, back in that time did fall for this drug addiction and committed suicide because Lane Staley was one of them. A lot of other musicians and young boys and girls fell victim to this drug addiction because they all had issues. They wanted to find some emotional comfort, and when the only way they could get through that was drug addiction. And for Kurt Cobain, it was his one of the soul mission, the sole purpose to explore the theme of life in terms of drug addiction, in terms of music, in terms of family issues, in terms of financial problem, in terms of huge success. And I think drug addiction was also one of the themes that he wanted to explore in this lifetime. Did Kurt Cobain want to leave Nirvana? The answer is no. He wanted to work with this band in the future, and he had a lot of plans for the future. Did Kurt Cobain want to divorce Courtney? The answer is no, because like I said before, Kurt and Courtney were soulmates and they loved each other a lot. They had a child together and they wanted to do everything possible as a parent. But the thing is that they both had been through a lot of the negative things in their childhood. So even though they wanted to become good parents, they just could not. I mean, Courtney was hypersocial and was also into drugs, and Kurt was also into drugs, and they both had a lifestyle that's very outrageous. I mean, very unstable. So they could not be a good parent. They could not be they could not provide stability to their child, but they wanted to. It was because of Francis that they got married. It was because of Francis that they wanted to stick together with each other. And I think if you had read his diary, a lot of times you would have read that Kurt Cobain's parents' divorce was so shocking to him that he was always against the things like divorce. And he has said that even if we get divorced, we will try our level best to co-parent Francis the best way possible. So I think both Courtney and Kurt had a lot of similarity. They connected with each other through pain, with musicality, with creativity, and they were just soulmate. But I think they wanted to explore the theme that they want to experience love in absence of each other, that way, not with divorce but with death. Even at this moment that I can feel his energy, this man is very much in love with Courtney and would never want to leave Courtney and Francis ever again, and understand that death is just an illusion to your eye. He's not present here, but his energy is very intense. His energy has only transformed into another thing, but his energy is very strong, is very much present in a different form. Does Francis hate Kurt Cobain? The answer is no, because she is a very intuitive woman. She is very spiritual, she is very intuitive, and she understands about soul mission, soul purpose, and all the things like soul contract and all of that. She doesn't hate her father, but the thing is that she grew up in a very negative environment, and that doesn't change the fact that she didn't feel the absence of of her father, but she doesn't hate her for that. She doesn't hate him for that. The thing is that both Francis and Kurt wanted to experience their relationship in absence of each other. They wanted to experience the intensity of love in absence of each other in this lifetime. That was the soul contract between them. That was the soul mission, life purpose between them. And I think Courtney, Francis, and Kurt, they all had this major life lesson from their life is to feel the love in absence of your loved one. That this family has went through, a lot of other family goes through the same thing. I mean, a lot of the families, would you see that they are drug addicted, absent of one parent, abandonment of one parent, divorces, children being taken by the child support care or be raised by foster care system. But because they're celebrities, everything, I mean, their life events, everything just got a lot of public attention. But that doesn't make any different from other people, honestly, because they were ordinary people. Except for the creativity, they are ordinary people. They had issues, they had a mental breakdown, they had drug addiction, they had insecurities, they had their own mistakes, but that doesn't really make them any less of a human being than other human beings. I think a lot of other people, people wouldn't care about the next door neighbor. I think if your neighbor is someone is going through drug addiction and this kind of issues that Courtney, and Francis are did go through at that time, but because the celebrity is just very getting a lot of public attention. Will Francis become famous like Kurt Cobain? Will she release any musical album? Francis will not release any musical album in the future like Paris Jackson, and Frances will also not become as famous as Kurt Cobain in the future because she is a kind of a person, she is very happy with everything that she has and she doesn't want anything more. She is a very minimalistic person. She's very spiritual and she's happy with what she has, and she maintains a clothing line business, I think, and she's going to continue with that. I think she's going to continue to live in a solitude kind of way. I would try to be away from the media attention, but I think the way that her life is, and because her name is associated with his famous parents, it will be difficult for her to get away from the public attention. But I think she will attend the public events minimum, but there will be at a point where she would want to just get away from all the public attention and live in solitude and be away from the media as much as possible. I am a kind of a person, I always tell you the truth no matter what. So there's a lot of people who would want to try to say a lot of negative things about Kurt Cobain. There's a lot of mystery, definitely, and they would want to say things to get public attention. So that will give them a lot of views and subscribers in their channel, but I'm not one of them. I'm going to tell you the truth, no matter, even if people get mad at me for this, I'm not going to tell you anything that is not the ultimate truth. When this man got famous, a lot of people just cling on to him because they wanted the benefit. They started to spread rumors about him. They started to make stories about him. And this man was so true to his art and his music and creativity and his personal life, but he just couldn't get away from this unwanted media attention. So this man is no more in this physical life with us, that he would really ascend to higher dimension and really would find his peace, because he deserves that. He deserves that mental peace. The reason why he had committed suicide, because he wanted to get rid of the pain that the physical body was given to him. And I wish that he connects with the source and ascend to higher dimension and really find his nirvana, the ultimate moksha, the moksha from this third dimensional life, the cycle of reincarnation. I hope he gets his nirvana. I hope you enjoyed today's reading. Let me know in the comment section what do you think, and I will see you in the next video.